Going on there, Twitch and YouTube world? Hollow Sights TV back to hit you with a quick little video on a weapons tier list. I went ahead and put this together ahead of time so I could just run through the explanations as to why I think these weapons are the best PvP weapons for you to use in the game. Starting off with the Venator, arguably, once this weapon is maxed out, you're able to get an additional 65% firing rate. The damage, it is going to 4-tap everything that walks, moves, breathes, and exists on the top side. No competition, landslide, best gun on the game right now. Now, when it comes to dealing with an arc on your ass, or maybe dealing with a higher level arc, such as a Bastion, a Bombardier, or a Rocketeer, you want something that's going to be able to peel back the armor plating, especially on like Rocketeers and those front propellers and back propellers, or, you know, the legs of a Leaper, or even if you were trying to duke it out there with the Queen. So the Anvil is going to be number 2. And honestly, when it comes to arc damage, it is going to be number 1. But it is, in my opinion, going to be the staple 1 and 2. And I like to use both of these guns with one another. If I'm not using a Venator, I do always like to have something that shoots fast or allows me to be mobile, push my targets, whether that's doing slide rolls or jump slide rolls or just slide shots or roll shots. You need to have something from afar and something for up close and personal. So the Anvil is usually going to be my number 1 semi from afar. I don't really like to fight long range, so Anvil is going to be number 1 for me, and then a Bobcat to pair with it. Bobcat, I know a lot of people right now on their tier list are kind of putting this in the A tier or even low B tier, and I think they are insane. And I question, due to the rarity of finding this gun, if you don't have the blueprint, how much time they've actually put into using the weapon. Once you get this thing fully kitted out, maximum mag size, fully leveled up on level 4, it will frag out. And yes, it will beat the Stitcher. It will beat the Berletta. The only exception to it is if you're a little bit too close, you're still going to get smacked in the face by something like an Il Turo or a Volcano. So that's just some food for thought. Tempest is right behind the Bobcat. Really great when it comes to handling arc, but I do think just when I kind of weigh its overall costs and impacts to mobility, I'm going to take the Bobcat over it, but it is going to be right behind it in terms of performance. Great weapon. Take it out for a spin. See if you win. And again, folks, I want you to remember every weapon on this list is focused on, did you get it to maximum tier and are you using attachments? The Renegade is going to be a monster, and it does beat out the Pharaoh for me. The extra fire rate you get from the added upgrades, and also being able to add things like the extended barrel and increase the bullet velocity make this a menace in long range exchanges. And in close range exchanges where you can really zero in on that headshot multiplier, it's going to win every single time. That's why you see people like Shroud or some of these other gamers out there just destroying people as they get pushed around the corner because they're not missing shots with the Renegade. Bye bye to you, and you're leaving topside. Pharaoh, for a little bit slower performance, is going to be right behind the Renegade, but I do think even after being fully upgraded, even with you adding something to extend maybe the range on it, it doesn't have a lot of upsides to it. No attachment really needs to be added to this weapon. It just simply needs to be upgraded. So in terms of a value factor, some people might swap it with the Renegade, but I still think it falls behind. If we were to just pretend the Pharaoh wasn't in this list, it is going to then be the Stitcher, really climb right behind it and maybe even take the spot away from the Pharaoh. The Stitcher is kind of one of those guns that is underwhelming. It doesn't perform quite as well as it should, but when nobody's geared or you're running free kits, it is a godsend for those close quarter fights. It puts a lot of pressure on people, and it allows you to be able to fire off the hip, which can be really valuable sometimes. But I think when it comes to the headshot multipliers, right, or the headshot demons, things like the Berletta are going to beat out the Stitcher in a good PvP fight. But again, fire rate is going to be something that helps you win your fights. Prime example being the Bobcat. If the Bobcat didn't have as good of a fire rate as it did, the Tempest would be swapping places with it. However, Stitcher, you stay where you are, and Berletta close behind. I'm thinking of you being more so in the hands of average players who haven't really figured out how great of a gun you are yet. And once you do, it is going to swap out with the Stitcher. Next is going to be the Il Toro, and depending on who you ask, the Il Toro could be S tier anytime it wants. The Il Toro, anything from 10 to 15 meters, will 2-tap you if you are blue shields and below. You might be running perps, and if you're too close, you will get 3-tapped, okay? And someone who's able to use their mobility and go cover to cover, hitting you shots, moving to cover, hitting you with another shot, throwing a nade, rushing you, hitting you with a shot, they are going to rock your shit. And this is why that gun is absolutely going to potentially be an S tier weapon. Would I take it over, if I had to fill in my secondary slot, right? I got a shield cracker or an arc farmer, and then I need something there for just my raw power and protection. Am I going to put that over something like the Stitcher? Most times not. And that's why it's going to stay kind of more on the back end of the A tier. Same thing as the Kettle. The Kettle is a really great gun in the right hands. Keyword, in the right hands. Some people might put the Kettle over the Stitcher. I wouldn't put it over the Berletta, though. If you know how to fire a really good semi-fire shot and you're hitting headshots, the Berletta will win every single time. However, the Kettle is really great as that early starter weapon. Going to be a great contender for PvP, but I still think it falls behind things like the Stitcher and the Il Toro, which are going to fall into a lot of people's hands frequently, but it is an A-tier weapon. The Rattler, I'm going to be honest with you folks, could be an S-tier weapon if you hit your headshots. However, most players are not hitting their headshots, so it falls in the B tier. And we all know how crappy this weapon is in its earlier stages, levels 1 and 2, because of the small magazine size and the fact that there's really not a lot of attachments that are cheap to make this gun shine. Once you start getting the more fancier attachments that help you deal with the bullet dispersion and just concentrating where your rounds are going, that's where we can leave the B tier, get into the A tier, and then add the upgrades. It then becomes an S tier weapon. So got to be flexible with the tier list. It's not going to be a concrete thing depending on what phase of the game you're playing with this particular weapon. Torrente is going to fall into that same category. I'm sure all of you have picked it up. You've mowed down a 3-man group pushing around the corner because they just weren't paying attention. But what they may have realized, if they're a decent player, is you are a sitting duck. If someone has a long-range weapon, for example, a Renegade or a Pharaoh, and you aren't able to close the gap or they are playing their cover properly, they are going to win the fight every single time. Great arc farmer, though. So if you want to kill some stuff and you bring lots of ammo, I do recommend the Torrente for that. However, in terms of PvP, it is not going to be a top weapon or cream of the crop, at least to my standards. Volcano, in my opinion, could beat out the Torrente if I'm being realistic. It's a great shotgun. Same thing as the Il Toro. The closer you get, the more deadlier it gets. It does have a faster fire rate. So if you are a team, for example, that's pushing around a corner, this thing is going to jack you up. The thing I like about the Il Toro, however, is it has a little bit more bullet spread. So oftentimes when you're kind of in those medium ranges, maybe 15 meters or more, you're going to be hitting multiple targets. I don't quite get that with the Volcano because the range falls off. And that is what makes it fall down into the B tier instead of being next to its partner, the Il Toro. Also, take into consideration, it's very expensive to use. Who wants to dump all of those resources into a gun that gets outperformed by a green shotgun for much, much less investment? Food for thought. Think of your PvP standards. The patina is kind of like the Rattler, to be honest with you. And if you decide to throw some attachments on it, fix the bullet dispersion, it is going to become A tier. Get it all the way upgraded to level 4. It could potentially, keyword potentially, be an S tier, but there's a major caveat, and it is very similar to the problems that you're going to have with the Kettle or the Berletta for being a fully automatic weapon, and that is hitting your headshots. A lot of times you're going to find yourself in a fight, rolling around, sliding around, doing a lot of strafing in between the exchanges, and that means a lot of missed bullets. And when we think of a value per bullet ratio, well, the patina just isn't cutting it, which is why it's permanently trapped in the B tier. That pretty much sums it up. Moving on to the C tier, and this one's going to be a controversial one. There's a lot of folks there who are like, are you out of your mind? How is the Osprey a C tier? The Osprey is absolutely going to find its place somewhere in the middle of the A tier, between maybe the Renegade and the Pharaoh. However, it is so situational right now that there's just not a lot of value in it. Sure, you get a really long scoped in shot that you could take on people a zillion yards out, but you can't follow up on it. And unless another person is rocking an Osprey with you or is an absolute demon with the Pharaoh and Renegade on long range exchanges, it just doesn't bring enough value to fights. When you think about the way these maps are laid out, a lot of us are running into fights at the extraction points or at the queen farms or just indoors in general, which automatically knocks it down to a situational weapon. A tier, however, C tier because of its extreme situational problem that it has. Now, the arpeggio is also a controversial one because the arpeggio is, well, decent. It needs to actually be invested into, not only fully upgraded, but also added to full attachments for it to, in my opinion, be able to even edge out the patina or right next door to it. But when we think about how often we stumble into these things, if you were to stick it on, throw it on your belt, and put it into good use, there's just not enough damage. The round type doesn't help you farm arcs at all. It's not a great PvP weapon. You're going to lose to something that has a faster fire rate. Someone's got a Bobcat or a Stitcher or even a shotgun. Kiss your ass goodbye. There's just nothing that's going to be able to help you compete with that gun. I do hope to see maybe the devs show that one a little bit more love. Because again, I would take a Berletta and hit my headshots in a heartbeat. No questions asked. Everything else we don't talk about because it either sucks or it is meant strictly for PvE standards. So if you are a fan of the Hole Cracker and you like one tap and arc, that is going to be my recommendation. Jupiter close second. Nothing is better than the Jupiter in terms of removing armor. If you're farming the Queen and your whole team's got a bunch of Hole Crackers, you're doing it wrong. You need to have at least one guy on your team using a Jupiter to crack off the armor plating. And then after that armor plating's cracked off, the Hole Cracker's easily going to pull ahead and be the best arc slaying gun out there. The equalizer, devs, buff this gun. I just don't understand why every other weapon, like the Jupiter, for example, or even the Hole Cracker, can basically one tap arc, while it takes me like 5.5 seconds to kill the most basic creature with the equalizer while I'm burning through ammo in the process. So automatically going to be bottom of the D tier in terms of weapons. And of course, since they don't have any place in PvP, that is where they stand. That about wraps it up, folks. I hope you enjoyed the tier list when it comes to Arc Raiders. I've been having an absolute blast. If you're curious if I know a thing or anything at all, I have completely maxed the game. I am a level 75 user. I have max benches, max rooster, and the only thing I have left in this game is some quests for me to go ahead and knock out. And I'm saving the last 2 slots. Here's a little pro tip. I'm saving the last 2 slots of the expedition. I could go ahead and get this filled in, but my plan is if you're going to wipe your character, right? Let's say I go to combat items and I hit select items and I hit select all. I have more than enough money to fill these slots. If I go to survival items and hit select all, more than enough money to fill those slots. And this is something that usually we're stocking up and using on a regular basis. So what I would suggest doing is just play until the very last day or two when you know wipe is coming. And once you know it's coming, just dump the whole inventory, right? It's like money in the real world before you die. You can't take it with you. So use it wisely. That's my strategy. And that's all I got. Until next time, folks. Thanks for stopping by. Peace, love, and happiness. Y'all be easy.